At the time of this video uploading, the Solar Victory Cup starts again tomorrow, and this tournament is by far the easiest way to earn in Fortnite for up and coming competitive players. So in this video, I'm going to be VOD reviewing one of Muzz's wins from the last Solar Victory Cup that happened. The reason I've chosen Muzz to VOD review is because, unlike pros such as Peterbot or Reet, he doesn't try to go for 30 and 40 bombs every game, but plays slowly and strategic, which is a much more attainable playstyle for non-pro players. So, I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off, he lands at Pleasant Piazza. This guarantees him a good amount of loot because there are 30 chests here, and he's only conned by 2 people, which effectively means between 7 and 10 chests per player even if they split the drop and don't fight. This means that this is one of the most consistent spots on the map to get good loot from, especially when considering the chests in the dash water to the north. Here, Muzz picks up Nitro, even though this is after the nerf where it only does 90 damage to walls. This is because it's still really good mobility, and it's before the addition of Crashpad Juniors to this season, so there isn't any other mobility in the game when Muzz is playing. Personally, in the rest of the Solo Victory Cups this season, I'd be running Crashpads and Fizz for mobility instead of Nitro. It's clear by watching his gameplay that Muzz makes a concerted effort to avoid spawn fighting at all costs, which is a good idea because it's much harder to outscale your opponents off spawn due to the lack of mats and heals, so it often ends up in a 50-50. This is emphasised further by the fact he isn't even going for this drone he shot out, because he knows that even though he could win the fight, he doesn't need to take it, and it's not worth risking his whole game for the loot from the drone or for that kill. As he rotates out of Pleasant, he farms. This is because it's crucial to have mats in case he gets keyed, and because he knows he needs a good amount of mats for basing up later and for tarping an endgame. Not farming enough is a mistake that many players make and can be fixed incredibly easily. Another interesting point about Muzz's loadout is his choice to run Fizz over minis. He does this because Fizz provides him with extra mobility, and it's especially useful as he's in the area of the map with dash water, and using Fizz with the dash water gives crazy distance. A crucial thing to notice about his loadout is the fact he's carrying medkits in order to prepare for the heal off. Carrying at least 3 medkits ensures he's got a decent chance of winning the game if it happens to come down to heal off, while also allowing him to carry other items such as Nitro and Fizz in the mid game. Muzz chooses to rotate west here because this side of the zone is dead side. He's determined this by realising that there is less of the map on this side because it's facing more ocean, so fewer players have to rotate towards this side compared to the east side of the zone, which means there are very few players here compared to the rest of the map. As he runs over this bunker, he knows it's going to spawn, because when a bunker is spawning, you can see the chests on visual sound effects and you can hear them. He boxes above the bunker so it's all his piece in case anyone tries to key him. Bunkers are important for ensuring a good loadout as well as being a good supply of metal. He reforms the brick he's used to build the box on top of the bunker by using all of the rocks in the Grim biome, which give loads of brick and often aren't farmed as they look like part of the environment. Muzz then makes a tower on this elevated bit of land to look out from. Choosing an elevated bit of land rather than a lower one helps to conserve mats and is one of many small things that pros do which many players may overlook. Although this playstyle is quite boring, it ensures the win and comes back to the attainable gameplay I talked about earlier in the video. It's not very difficult for most players to build a tower on a hill and monitor the lobby. It's clear from watching Muzz's games why he's managed to get almost 50 wins in Victory Cup finals, possibly cementing himself as the most consistent solo player in the world. He's able to spend so much time up here because he knows he's got the bunk below to secure endgame loot and farm metal from, so he doesn't need to worry about moving around to find metal or loot. When he's in this tower, he's ensuring he's constantly monitoring his surroundings to maintain good awareness, looking for any easy beams and anybody who could third party any fights he gets into. When third zone shows, bunk opens, but Muzz stays in the tower because you can pretty much guarantee that someone will try and key and go for the bunk. His elevated position allows him to open up the fight with a beam, giving him a massive advantage, causing the other player to instinctively box up. However, Muzz has boxed all around the bunk, so one of the opponent's walls is actually his, allowing him to catch the opponent off guard and clean up the kill quickly. This fight shows how a small and easy amount of preparation has basically guaranteed Muzz the bunker. Here, he opts to switch his pistol to a Thunderburst SMG with a laser attachment, because this is pretty much the best secondary weapon in the game. It does insane damage close up, has no bloom and has decent range. The combat AR and the pistol are good alternatives though if you don't like the burst. Something small but significant Muzz does here is farms the gold for the extra metal rather than building on it to break it. The fact he's opting to spend the extra time to farm the gold shows just how important going into endgame with capped metal really is. After he's done this, he farms the rest of the bunk out for metal, going from 136 to 419 metal just from the bunker. Once looting the bunker, he builds a tower on top of his box with the spare brick from his kill. This means he can maximise his awareness without wasting any mats. Even though he's not fully dead side, he's relatively close to it, so it's worth staying on the bunker for the spare mats and loot, rather than going to full dead side with nothing spare. He spends time to bring the Enforcer up to look for long distance tags on other players and brings a spare Fizz up. The Fizz means he's able to overpeak to shoot opponents with little risk, because he can heal back to full shield easily. As well as Fizz, he brings spare Nitro, which he can pop for full damage save, allowing him to go higher than if he didn't have Nitro. He notices a player boxed on the edge of zone, not peeking at him, so he edits a window in the opposite direction and shoots, to bait the other player into peeking and shooting back at Muzz's wall. Although this doesn't work here, sometimes you can pretty easily bait an opponent into peeking by pretending you're not paying attention and beam them when they don't expect it. When he finally doesn't pull the zone, he fizzes and uses the Nitro ring, which sends you really far. If you have the opportunity to box near a ring, you should take it, because it's basically guaranteed easy rotate into the next zone. Also, after using the ring, if you slide and jump constantly, your momentum is conserved, allowing you to cover even more distance. An interesting thing to note here, which stiffens to previous and future zones, is the fact he boxes in the centre of 5th zone. This means he has priority for basically any of the next zones, because 6th zone is the first partial zone, allowing him to rotate more easily than if he'd boxed on dead side. When he's boxed, he's constantly looking around and evaluating his situation, but rarely peeking, because this risks getting shot, and he doesn't really need a refresh. Here, he spots another player's getting lobbied, so joins in to try and get the kill, but doesn't overcommit to securing the kill as he has good mats and heals. He makes an effort to rotate this zone when there's nobody else around him, because this means he's able to rotate on foot without using any mobility. When he gets to zone, he chooses to box on edge, as there are loads of players already in zone, and rotating in further risks him getting beamed and having to use heals. Boxing on edge also means he's able to look for and get beams on players rotating in behind him, which could allow for easy kills. Muzz only pushes when he knows he can clean up a fight quickly and easily, which leads to him getting this kill here. He changes his loadout here by picking up the Mythic Combat AR over his Thunderburst SMG. This is because the Mythic version of the Combat is definitively the best secondary weapon in the game right now, because it has good range and an insane fire rate. He also gets the Nitro Medal from this kill, which means he can carry Cola for extra heals over his stack of Nitro Splashes. Here, he can just white line zone, ensuring he's going at the same time as everyone else so nobody will try and beam him, while they're all focusing on their own rotates. As he rotates, he hugs the hill, meaning anybody on top of or behind the hill can't shoot him, drastically reducing his chance of being beamed. Once again, he chooses to box as soon as he gets in, because he can see there are lots of players in front of him, ready to beam him if he tries to move further into zone. Here, he sees a player facing in the other direction and clearly panic building, so he knows it'll be an easy kill. An important thing to note here is the fact that you really don't want to be this other player. To avoid this, ensure you're aware of everyone around you and don't box in the centre of everyone. If you box against something, whether that be the hill like Muzz or Storm, you only have 1 or 2 directions to worry about being shot from, while this player has to worry about being shot from all 4 directions. You should also capitalise on this if you see players doing this, because it's often an easy kill. Here he gets more kills on players who are completely unaware. He's confident in taking a 50-50 due to his insane aim, but he doesn't need kills, so if you are in this situation here and weren't as confident in your fighting ability as Muzz is, I would strongly suggest you don't risk your game for unnecessary kills. From these kills, he manages to get 3 more medkits to carry over the Cola to prepare himself for a heal off. Due to Storm Sickness, 6 is the maximum number of medkits you'll need for a heal off, with floppers being necessary if you use all 6 medkits. When rotating here, he hugs the side of zone that is opening. This is cause the side of zone will be dead side, allowing Muzz to claim lots of space he wouldn't have been able to claim if he'd rotated along a different side of zone or gone at a different time. He boxes on front low, creating a 2x1 to ensure he's got enough space to prevent himself from being jumped in on and dying immediately, and to allow himself to easily get refreshes if an opportunity presents itself. For this kill here, he's confident taking a Bloom Battle because he's got the Mythic AR, so he knows he can outdamage the opponent, and can take the shotgun 50-50 here because he's still full health, while the other player's only 125 health. Once again though, his mats are still pretty good before the kill, so he didn't really need to go for this refresh. He uses the spare mats he gets from this kill to elevate and create even more space for himself. For first moving, he simply just runs with Nitro, elevating himself to reduce the risk of him running straight into another player. A mistake that many players make here is trying to go for height now, before getting into zone and establishing the dynamic of the endgame, as sometimes taking height at this point is pretty easy and the best thing to do, while in other times, if height's more established, it's better to wait until 11th zone to take height. Here, Muzz realises height is only held up by one layer, so he can easily knock him out and crack him to push him off height. It's pretty clear in this game that nobody is aggressively going to push for height, so Muzz knows that he can take and hold height for the rest of the game with little resistance. Something that's interesting here is that Muzz doesn't try to push for this kill, even though he knows the other player's quite low, because height's more important, especially since he already has over 100 builds. A general rule of thumb to follow in endgame is to prioritise positioning over kills. While he's on height, Muzz double layers and hards, because this means he's less likely to get chopped. He's also constantly spraying second height to intimidate them and prevent them from being tempted to come up and try to con for height. When playing height, many players forget to connect to builds below them, making it far easier for enemies to chop them out and take height, while Muzz is constantly ensuring he's connected to second height. Regarding his position within the zone, he never goes frontside on height, because if it pulls back, it's a waste of mats to have extended all the way into zone. This contrasts with when you're on mid or low ground, when you should always try to play frontside. This is the only time anyone tries to challenge Muzz for height, and when he gets cracked, he drops and immediately picks up the shield medal, because this starts him healing instantly, as well as being able to spray the other player at the same time as healing. When the other player is cracked, he drops and stops trying to take height. This means Muzz can continue playing height, knowing it's not worth dropping for any refreshes, even when he gets this kill, because the final zone pulls back over his tarp. He's probably preparing for heal off in this final zone, tarping until zone closes on a single layer to ensure he can get all the way there, but the other player shoots him out. When he gets chopped, he stays calm and hits the final shot to win the game. So, I hope you've enjoyed the video and have learnt something you can apply in your solo victory cups to hopefully make some earnings. I'd really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.